So first we're going to talk about entitlement and laziness. And I basically sum entitlement up to when you feel you are owed or deserve something that you didn't directly do the work for. And when I was thinking about examples, you know, I love metaphors and I love examples. I love to create pictures with words. It really helps me understand different perspectives and things. And so when I thought about entitlement, I thought about, you know, let's say you and your friend. Now, I don't play the lotto, but, you know, no shade or anything against people who do. But there's a mentality that certain people who play the lotto have. You know, some people just do it randomly just because, you know, it's right there in their face. And some people do it, like, literally, faithfully. You know, whenever there's a Powerball, jackpot, whatever the case may be, they are the first in line, waiting in line for however many hours they need to. They do different pools at work where everybody put their $5 in or whatever and buy a certain bucket number of tickets. And if you win, then everybody splits it up equally. I think some people actually won doing that before. So, but anyway, when it comes to the lotto, let's say, for example, that there's two people, they go to the store. One of them buys a lotto ticket, the other person buys some candy. Now, the person who buys the lotto ticket checked the numbers that night, and they actually hit the jackpot, okay? And so the friend who could have bought the ticket didn't buy the ticket. They chose to buy candy instead, but now that friend is upset, and because they didn't win, but they feel that since they were there when their other friend who won bought the ticket, that they should get a piece of the pie too, that they should get a cut of the money as well, because they're like, well, I was there, and since I was there and you won, I'm kind of responsible for you winning because I was there. Well, no, that's not what happened. Just because you were there doesn't mean that you are entitled to what the winnings are just because you were there. What did you do when you were there? Now, did you give them money? Was it your dollar that bought the ticket? Did you give them 50 cents on it, right? Well, what part did you play in there other than just being there? So, you know, if the winner, the person who won the lotto ticket, if they want to do something for you, then that's fine. That's great, you know. But if they don't, that shouldn't ruin or end your friendship. But, you know, when money and things like that get involved, people really do act crazy. You know, they think because I was there when you were broke, it's my right to have your riches now that you have money. No, that's not the case. Yeah, we went to elementary together, and, you know, now I'm successful, rich, wealthy, whatever it is. I'm doing good for myself, and you're not doing as well. Just because you were there then doesn't mean you can participate in the blessings that I've worked for now. Where were you when I was working, right? Where were you when I got laid off? Where were you when I had to go sell my TV? Where were you when my car got repossessed along this journey to getting to where I am today? You know, you can't just pop up and think because you played a small part in someone's success and someone's journey that you are entitled to the full thing, because that's not the case. Another story I thought about was with NSYNC, right? You remember the group NSYNC, the boy group. Justin Timberlake always stood out to me in that group. And so he stepped out, separated from that group to go off and be a solo artist and do his thing. And he achieved greater success as a solo artist than he did with a group. Now, even though NSYNC was there in the beginning when they first got known to the world, doesn't mean that they are entitled to what Justin as an individual built by his own work, by his own, you know, sacrifices and the time that he invested in cultivating his craft to get to where he is. Just because they were there in the beginning doesn't mean they are entitled to what he has right now. And so entitlement and laziness pretty much go hand in hand, because you look at those examples there, you know, it's almost like the person who doesn't do the work always wants the reward just because they were around. It doesn't entitle you to anything just because you are around, okay? Think about two scriptures here. You got 2 Thessalonians 3:10. The NIV version says that for even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat. Now, I heard them a lot in my life growing up. I didn't know it was from the Bible, but I've heard that a lot. A man who doesn't work, he doesn't eat. You know, if you don't go out there and you do the work that's necessary to bring some meat to the table, then the meat that's brought to the table you can't feast off of because you didn't contribute to this meat, right? You may have contributed to some of the condiments to the meal, but the condiments don't make the meal. It's the meat that makes the meal. So what meat are you bringing to the table? And also Proverbs 13:4, where it says, the appetite of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the appetite of the diligent is abundantly supplied. And all that means that if you are sitting around sloping, waiting for somebody to give you a handout, you're not going to get anything. But if you are out there diligently working, and even if you get into a bind, there will be somebody who gives you a hand up because they see you working. People will come your way and they'll favor you because they see, man, this person really putting in some work. You know what? Let me go ahead and bless them. Or you do the work, you do the work, you do the work. You're not getting results right now, but you continue to do the work, and next thing you know, bam, there it goes. You get your big break. Something happens. Why? Because you were diligent. Diligent means you're constantly doing, you're constantly moving, you're constantly progressing forward, you're constantly working at achieving whatever it is that you're working to achieve. And so you can't receive in an entitled or lazy state. You must do the work. Just because you are around it doesn't mean that you need to, that you qualify to get credit for it. You know, if you are an adult here, a grown man, a grown woman living out on your own, there's no other person or a family member who is responsible for the work that you're supposed to do for the success of your family's financial stability. You must go out there and do it. There's some families, their mentality is to financially support other family members. In that case, some cases, if the family member gets in a huge bind, that's a good thing to have a family member to call upon. I've called on family members from time to time myself. But if the mentality is, I don't have to do the work because all I got to do is pick up the phone and call Uncle so-and-so or Auntie such-and-such, well, what happens in that example becomes that the entitlement syndrome comes up because they are enabling that person. They're teaching that person that you don't have to finish. You can get as close as you want to the goal. You can get as close as you want to the finish line, but you don't have to finish because if you get tired, you can just pick up the phone, make a call, and we'll come through and we'll bail you out. And it's almost like a social program mentality for some people and some families. They are always enabling each other, and those people, young people, grow up to become grown adults, grown men, grown women who feel entitled. They have that lazy spirit. They don't want to go out there and do the work because they've always had somebody out there to provide it for them. You know, for everybody who's here, who's a parent, if you are, if you have children that are in high school, maybe you are a high school or college student and you're listening to this call. Once you hit age 18, 17, 18, it's time for you to click in those young adult, that mindset. Actually, you need to start sooner, but at that point in time, that you should have something in place mentally and financially so that you can go on and start to get your wings. You can start practicing your flying, your soaring. Mother birds, when they're in the nest, especially eagles, they throw the little eaglets out the nest and say, hey, I've already given you what you need to soar. Now, you need to activate that fight or flight mentality and actually go and soar, go and fly. I'll be there hovering over you just to make sure you don't hurt yourself along the way, but you're going to have to go and do the work. And so just because you grew up in this particular house doesn't mean that you can sit and just chill in the house. My husband used to tell me when he was growing up, his dad used to always tell him, hey, man, what work are you doing today? Go wash them dishes. Go clean the room. Go do this. Go do that. And every time he would talk back, he'd be like, man, I don't feel like doing nothing. His dad would tell him, you can't eat off the land. You can't just sit here and eat off the land. You got to go do some work. And, at the time, obviously, my husband being a teenager didn't want to hear that. But as a grown man now, he appreciates that because my husband's work ethic is like insane. He has that in him subconsciously. I can't eat off the land, which means I got to go do the work. Like even right now, our anniversary was yesterday. Oh my God, we had such an amazing time. Our anniversary was yesterday, so today we're back in the saddle. We're back working. You know, I have my call here tonight. I had some other things I had to do earlier today. He's out doing a meeting right now. Why? Because we can't eat off the land. We got to go do the work. We got to go do what's necessary to produce results, to bring a harvest to our family. That was instilled in us at a young age. So if you are, you know, a young adult and you're living at home with your parents for whatever reason, you need to put a plan together so you can make that transition. Okay? Because if you're older, especially if you are a very vocal person, if you have children in your family, teenagers or whatnot, and they're at the age where they're talking back, or if you are that child and you're on this call listening and you're talking back, listen, if you're old enough to talk back, you're old enough to get your bags packed. If you can do all of that, it's time for you to start filling up those bags so you can go and be this huff and puffing adult that you want to go be. It's tough love, but it's necessary, because if you raise children in an entitled state, they'll grow up to become adults that way. And they'll never want to take responsibility. They'll never want to do the work. They'll never want to go out there and do what's necessary and what's required to achieve success if you're always bailing them out and doing things for them. So just make sure that the trash that you're carrying isn't entitlement and is not laziness either.